Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Bobloon, aka Pavloon, and today we are once again speaking about and featuring the new Spanish cruisers. This video specifically, I will be playing and talking about the tier 9, but all the points and tips or arguments I talk about in this video will be applicable to all of the ships that are in the tech line, or at least the ones that have the burst feature, which I believe starts from tier 7 up. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I've gotten a lot of comments asking me that or saying that other CCs don't like these cruisers and think they're really bad. Now, I'm not going to mention any names because, to be fair, I think it's very healthy to have different opinions on ships. Now, when you come to my channel, I might say something's really good for some reasons. Then you go to another channel and they might say it's really bad for some other reasons. You should not let a YouTuber, decide what ship is good. In reality, if you like playing a ship, if you think it's fun, then that's perfect for you. At least that's the way I see it. But getting back to these cruisers here, I want to make the case for why these are not bad. But I'm also going to make the case that these are not the meta cruisers that some people might think they will be. I don't think I've given any false indications as to these being absolutely overpowered. I think I've said they're good. And I want to make that case today. So, in a tier list, I think these go straight into the middle of the pack. B tier, it's in there with Henry, with Gouden Leo, in my opinion. All these B tier cruisers, that work, but they have some weaknesses. We're gonna talk about that today, and I'm gonna show you guys some gameplay. And here we got Blue saying L in the chat. I want to see what this is. Oh wow. Anyways, yeah, these cruisers here are very, very interesting because they are, without the burst fire mod, they are pretty much just like, I like to compare them to Hindenburg. They have good AP, their HE is not their main point. They like to sit back, they like to snipe, and they do big damage to other cruisers, and they can certainly punish battleships. Destroyers at range are pretty much non-existent. If you shoot the destroyer and you hit all guns, you will do around almost 1,000 damage per hit. So let's get into the gameplay, and I'll do an old school style commentary where I can really get into the ups and downs of these ships instead of a live commentary, because when I'm playing the game, it's a little bit harder for me to, talk and say something that actually makes sense. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the games. So, guys and gals, here we are. This is the first gameplay, and it's quite good to feature actually, because it showcases what I believe these cruisers are good at, and that is long range artillery damage, or sitting at farther ranges, pretty much just like we are here in Encounter. You can already see me turning around to go into a kiting position, because that's where you're going to be most powerful, is when somebody's sitting at farther ranges, where you have your scouting plane and you have these 230mm guns, 34, and you have your burst fire. When I first played this, I was hoping the burst fire was going to be absolutely crazy and be able to destroy cruisers, but with the tier 9 here specifically, I haven't really felt that oomph salvo. I was hoping to see 6 citadels or something like that. Even on a Neptune, you don't get that all the time. What this burst fire is good at is securing a kill before they even can think about it. Like I said in one of my other videos about this ship, I talked about having the power to take out targets before they normally would think a cruiser should be able to take you out. Let's take the Hindenburg, for example, because this thing feels a lot like a Hindenburg. Hindenburg, if we got a Neptune who is, let's say, 30% HP, at somewhat farther distance, let's say further 10 kilometers, right? A Hindenburg shooting at a broadside Neptune at 10 kilometers, and the Neptune being at 30% HP, could kill him, but you could also get unlucky and not kill him. When you have the burst fire mode, you have the opportunity to secure that kill and sink the ship. I talked about this being like the battleship salvo, that a cruiser normally would not go broadside to, because that would be very dangerous. It's kind of the same if you go broadside at close distance to this thing at low HP. You will have to see this thing having the firepower of a BB. But it definitely does not do the same damage as a BB. I mean, you have these 18 guns or 18 shells that come out when you use your burst. You have 9 times 2. But they are still 234mm guns. They can still do damage, as you can see. We just clipped a Vermont. We got all full pens and a Citadel. This thing is quite good at distance. It will also have its ups and downs. Sometimes I get salvos where I get all half pins. So accuracy is super important with this. Good thing you have somewhat decent dispersion. I get some really nice salvos once in a while. But you can also have these torpedoes launched out every time you want to turn your ship. That's what I'm doing here. It's pretty much like a combination of playing a Yodo or a Japanese cruiser with a Hindenburg. You have very good AP and you should be using your AP. But you should also be using your torpedoes, because they actually help you quite a bit. You can see we've already hit 4 torps this game, and they've just been kind of zoning torpedoes. The reason I'm including this clip here is because I have a Vermont pushing me. And this is a tier 9 cruiser versus a tier 10 battleship that is very tanky. And could kill me in like 2 salvos if he's good. So here we're trying the HE, and I've found out that even though you have a 6% fire chance, the HE is not worth your time. I tried doing burst HE salvos where you get 2 out, you get somebody's damage control. You think, okay, I'm gonna chunk out 2 HE salvos and hope that I get a lot of fires. It never happened, man. I could have just been super unlucky, but the HE doesn't do that much damage either. It's certainly not Goliath HE. Goliath and this ship has the same caliber, but it's still there, and where it really works is against destroyers. You will see that in this gameplay where there is a destroyer that comes really close, and I use the burst with HE to take him out. Or close to, at least. It's really a learning curve when you're playing these ships, and I think that's also why a lot of the other CCs might have not liked them, because I think you need to sink a lot of time into these ships for them to feel good. I'm gonna say right now, like I talked about in the intro, I'm placing this into B tier. Slap bang in the middle. It's certainly not a bad ship, but even though you have defensive fire, you have DFA 2. That's something like a Hindenburg doesn't have. Your AA is not good. It certainly is not good. And remember, this is a tier 9, and I'm playing it into tier 10, so obviously the AA will be better, probably, on the Castilla. But certainly here on the tier 9 and the lower tiers, the AA is non-existent. So it feels a lot like a Hindenburg in that sense, and that's why I kind of compare it to that. So in there with, in my opinion, Gouden Leeuw is a B tier. Hindenburg is a B tier. What else can we think about? There's a ton of ships, and it's not the best. This is not going to go into meta. It's not going to go into the competitive tier or A or S tier. It's going to stay in B, I think. At least the tier 9. But if you play it like I'm doing here, it can certainly hold its own into tier 10 battles. You can see we've done 86,000. 1 flood, 7 torp hits, 2 citadels, and some main battery hits. When you play it like a long-range artillery ship, it's going to go into the A tier, in my opinion. If we're talking tier 9s here. Again, we don't know what the tier 10 is, how it feels. The reason I think that is because you are really hard to deal with. You have a scouting plane, and you have a pretty good suite of guns. And you can see here, this Jaeger here just ate all of his HP from my 2 salvos. Now I have to wait 26 seconds for that next salvo to come back. But I'm certain that we can survive this Jaeger's attack if we just maneuver our ship. This ship is big. It's a big cruiser, man. It's a long ship too. If you've played Yodo and then you know how it feels to have the longest cruiser in existence. You turn pretty slowly, and your acceleration is not the best either. But the ship itself is quite tanky. It feels like you can take a certain amount of punishment compared to other cruisers. So that was the first game here. You can see what we tried to do. I hung back, kited away, and we just did what we were supposed to do as a cruiser. In this game here, we're going to be a little bit more aggressive, but it's the same kind of approach I'm taking. We're going towards a cap, and then we're going to be kiting away, if we can. Every time I pushed in with this ship, I died. It was not worth it. Every time I pushed in to get close and hoping to use this burst fire at a broadside cruiser or battleship, it was never worth it. You also have to think, you're losing DPM or damage per minute when you're using your burst. So, like I said before, 2 salvos with the normal reload or the normal firing mode is going to be around 24 seconds for 2 salvos. If you want to use your burst fire, once you fire, the reload is 26 seconds. So you gotta use it sparingly. You gotta use it the right time. And that's what I think is going to be the hardest thing to do with these cruisers. And you're most of the time you're going to be using the single fire mode. Now, let me talk about some of the pros and cons about this ship to kind of outline it. So, the pros of this ship or this line, let's take the line instead. I did say it was going to be applicable to all the ships that would have the burst fire, and it definitely is. The Asturias, the tier 7, feels very similar. It's a little bit more powerful, definitely a little bit more powerful in its tier. but it's the same playstyle. The pros about these ships is you have really nice AP. It's good at dealing with destroyers, it's good at dealing with cruisers, and it can definitely damage battleships. Another pro is you have really good range with your scouting plane. You can sit far back and you can just hammer ships with your AP. The skill suite you get is very nice. Having Sonar 2 is absolutely busted, or not busted, it's absolutely amazing. And it really helps you deal with certain classes of ship. You can go brawl with a DD, you can go brawl with a Neptune or Minotaur, something like that. Another pro, in my opinion, is the speed is quite good. You can see we're reaching around 35 knots on this thing, so you can also make pushes with this. It also has good torpedoes, another pro. These torpedoes I found helped me more than I even thought of. I saw them as like an extra piece of tools you can use, but it ended up being one of my primary tools to deal with stuff. You can go toe-to-toe with a lot of things because of these torps. Now, I did say that it's quite fast. The maneuverability is a little bit lackluster. You can see it turns kind of slow. That's because it's a long ship. But that's about all the pros I have for this ship. The cons, well, they're also there. AA is very bad. This is an SX we're fighting. We are able to shoot stuff down with DFA too, but it's not enough, and you won't stop any strikes. And since you are a big ship, it's very easy to hit torpedoes from a CV on this, I can imagine. Another pro is, you know, I guess, I don't know if this is, sorry, another con, and I don't really know if this is a con. I think this might just be us having to get used to the ship. Is the burst fire, even though it's very nice to have, it doesn't always do the trick, you know what I mean? You saw there we sent out 18 shells at this SX and we hit 7. I haven't seen these amazing salvos, so if you're thinking that this is gonna be crazy at one-shotting people who make a mistake because you have the burst fire, it really is not. It's definitely gonna take them down to a certain amount of HP, but it can also hurt you to use the burst fire. That's a con. This burst fire is as much of a help as it is a detriment to you, because if you use it at the wrong time, you're gonna be suffering for it. If you are getting rushed by a DD like the Jaeger we saw in that other clip, if he rushes you and you don't kill him with the burst fire, like we didn't kill him, he can definitely kill you. That's where it's nice you have torpedoes. So this con is kind of like, it depends on how good you are at using this burst fire, and it definitely comes with time. But you saw there, the burst fire worked wonders where it should. We hit that CV pretty hard, and he went down. Now this Chapayev here is gonna kill me. It is what it is, but we are gonna take him out, or almost take him out, with a ton of damage from these guns here. Just check this out. This is a burst fire at long range. I'm firing this because I'm about to die. And just look at the damage. I mean, that's a battleship salvo right there. So, definitely is up there. It can do damage. But I know a lot of people don't like these cruisers. I haven't seen the other CC's videos about this. Because, like I said in the beginning, I don't think you should let other people affect how you think of a ship. If you really want to play these Spanish cruisers, you shouldn't let a YouTuber affect it. But I'm here to try to say why these things could be good. But I certainly found these ships fun. And I think, for me, that's what makes it important. If I find this fun, then I don't really care about what other people think. But obviously, you guys who aren't CCs, you can't play these. And you can only go off of what we're saying. And that's why I want to give at least a different opinion of it. And it's genuine. I mean this. This is what I actually think about this ship. It's a B tier ship. It's a B tier tech line, so far from what I've seen. Something that I have a little bit of a concern with is, if you look at the Andalusia here, you can see 3 very beautifully textured, nice secondaries in the middle of the ship. On this ship, they don't work. There are no secondaries. I think there's decorations. And I find this to be an issue. I hope that Castilla has working secondaries. Doesn't need to be auto secondaries, but having some manual secondaries would be really nice with this line, because let's say you've used your burst fire and the target didn't die. Well, you have to wait 26 seconds. And if you don't have any torpedoes ready, that's a 26 seconds where you're going to take damage. So for me personally, if this was to become, or if I was to change these ships a little bit, I would give them manual secondaries. So that's kind of what you can expect from these. They They do punch quite hard, but you're better off staying further away, using your distance or your range and your scouting plane to give you the best advantage. This clip right here, I'm just fighting some bots. It's the only other game I had recorded for today. But you can see, this is a Charles Martel, not very armored. Here goes a burst. He goes down quickly. Again, perfect execution of the burst. And here you can see me, I have no secondaries, I don't have a torpedo ready. I just used my burst, and there's a DD right there. If that was a real player, I could have highly likely died right here. So that is just something to say, that you have to have a different thought process when you're playing these ships. But yeah, it's a weird batch of ships, man, and that's why I'm very excited for them, because they bring something new to the game. I don't like it when Wargaming adds another copy-paste of a ship. I would much rather they add something new, and they've done that here. This is not a Marseille on release. If you remember when Marseille came out, trash. If you remember Petro when it came out, trash. Goliath, trash. Hound Leo, trash. This is not trash. It's certainly not trash. It's playable. It's more than playable, and I think that's the biggest takeaway from this, guys, is this is not another Marseille release. This is something that can be played, and the lower tiers are also quite fun. I love the tier 7. I'm kind of contemplating saving the tier 7 whenever they come out, and so I can play it on my main account, because I had so much fun with that thing. The pen is crazy, good dispersion, good maneuverability, good torpedoes, and of course you have the burst fire that we see in action here again. Boom. Against cruisers, this thing is a monster. You absolutely don't get bad pens or anything. You get very consistent pen and damage with this ship. So I must say, for me, this is a pickup. I'm also a cruiser player. I have a huge bias against cruisers, and I always try to look at cruisers from the best perspective. Let's say if it was a battleship, I might not have the most positive outlook on it. But since this is my favorite class, and this is a feature or gimmick that I really, really like, I'm gonna put this, like I said, in B tier. It's a solid ship. It's fun. It takes some skill and it takes some new game knowledge or new game mechanics to get down. It's not just something you pick up and that's, you know, that's it. But if you play it like you play a Hindenburg, use range, go for DDs and cruisers, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. So I don't think there's much else to say in this video than what I have said. I hope you guys got a little bit better idea of what this line is gonna be like, and also got a better idea of if this is something for you or it's not something for you. Obviously, not every ship is everybody's cup of tea, but I hope that if somebody felt discouraged by, you know, from other opinions, that maybe they have a little bit more varied opinion now, so they know that if this is something for them. And like I said in the beginning, there's nothing wrong with having differing opinions on ships. For example, I don't like daring, guys. Who the fuck does like daring? I don't. So it's just to say that, you know, just because we make YouTube videos doesn't mean our opinions are set in stone. They're not the important ones. The important opinion is your own. And again, I mean, there's something satisfying about these fucking burst fires, man. It feels, when it does work, it feels really cool. It's the same caliber of coolness factor as the San Martin combat instructions. When you activate that combat instructions on San Martin or activate a rapid reload, it feels good. It's the same here. It's a really cool feeling skill to use. But yeah, it's not so unmaneuverable you can't turn like this. You see what I mean? But that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed and got something out of it. My name has been Bubbly, aka Pabloon, and I can't wait to see you guys all out there.